Plenty of people want to learn new things, such as a new hobby for personal enjoyment or new skills to help them get ahead in work or their own personal lives. But one of the most common obstacles that is typically ran into with adults who are trying to learn new things is that they just don't seem to have the time. Life is constantly throwing new things to us, whether that's commitments to family, friends, or just other personal life circumstances. So in today's video, I'm going to talk about some good strategies that you can use as an adult to help you manage your time effectively for your continued learning. If you're new to the channel, welcome. My name is Tyler Warlow, and I make videos on how to improve your life through your confidence, capabilities, and overall happiness. One of the first things that you have to take into account when you are first trying to dive into time management and how to effectively manage your schedule is that you need to really understand where your schedule is currently at. A lot of adults really don't realize where a lot of their time is going. For instance, you'd be surprised how many of us spend 4+ hours either on social media or watching TV in a single day. That's a lot of time that can be dedicated to other things, such as personal improvement, going to the gym, or continued learning, as is the subject of this video. If you don't understand where your time is going, it's going to be really difficult for you to prioritize when your schedule really does get truly busy. You need to look at your schedule and understand where your time is going and the different tasks that you are working on throughout the day. So that way, when the time comes that you do have to reprioritize some tasks, you know where you can cut back on and where you can continue to dedicate the same amount of time. I recommend doing this by just taking a few days out of the week to track how your time is being spent. A really easy way to do this in terms of your phone is most phones have some way of tracking your app or phone usage. I know that Androids have it in their well-being section, but you can also track like how long you are spending at the gym or how much time you are watching TV or playing video games. Once you have a good understanding of your schedule and where your time is currently being spent, it's important to set clear and realistic learning goals. If you're trying to study for some sort of certification that's coming up, that might require a little bit more time spent working and learning than the time needed to learn a new hobby. You need to understand the thing that you are trying to learn and prioritize and set your learning goals based on how important it is and your understanding of your current schedule. For instance, for some people, it might be realistic to be able to dedicate an hour every single day dedicated to continued learning. But for other people, it might be more realistic that they need to set aside only 3 days a week of 30 minutes. The next thing that you're gonna need to work on is prioritizing the tasks that you are working on. There are so many different ways that you can prioritize the tasks that you're working on for the day that I'm just gonna talk about the one that I like to personally use. I like to kind of set up a to-do list at the beginning of the day, and then based on that to-do list, identify the 3 most important things that I have to have done. Those 3 things are the things that I really want to aim to try and finish for the day. It's okay if roadblocks come up and it prevents you from completely finishing 1 or 2 of them, but understand that those are the 3 main things that you're working towards. Everything else can be seen as secondary or less important unless it's a commitment that you have to make, like a meeting of some sort. There are, of course, plenty of other tools that you can use for prioritizing your tasks, such as the Eisenhower matrix, but I feel like that can be its own video. So if you'd like to see a video on different ways of prioritizing your tasks, be sure to let me know in the comments down below. But now that we understand the importance of setting clear learning goals, as well as prioritizing the tasks that you need to work on, let's jump into a powerful technique that can help you to achieve those goals, and that's gonna be time blocking. To simplify the overall concept of time blocking, I'm gonna explain it like this. Basically, you set aside blocks of time every single day to be dedicated to certain tasks within your day. And you put those blocks of time on a calendar or something that you can visually see it so you can see how your time is being allocated throughout the day. A lot of people like to organize these blocks according to some sort of theme, whether that is doing work on personal projects, work on their career, or even a time block dedicated to answering emails and taking care of administrative tasks. When it comes to learning, a lot of studies have shown that the ideal amount of time or one cycle that would be good for learning is about 90 minutes. A lot of people nowadays feel like that it's hard to sit down and really focus for 90 minutes. So in the case of that, you can also use something called the Pomodoro technique, which I have talked about on this channel before. But for those of you that don't know what it is, with the Pomodoro technique, you set a timer to work for 25 minutes. Once you have done work for 25 minutes, you then set a shorter timer for a 5-minute break, and you just let yourself take that break if you need. And you repeat that cycle 3 or 4 times, and then after the 3rd or 4th time, you take a longer break, like 15 minutes, before restarting. This is a technique that can be used by people who might struggle to focus for that longer period of time. But what a lot of people will tend to notice is if they get into that focus mode after the 1st or 2nd cycle, that they can kind of keep working. So if you've noticed that you've entered a flow state, that you're just doing really deep work, you do not have to take that shorter break. The Pomodoro technique is more meant as a way to kind of get the ball rolling and get you into that focus state. If you have found the information in this video to be helpful or informative so far, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel and join me in this self-improvement journey. It helps the channel to grow and helps the information to reach new people. So thank you so much, and now let's continue with the video. A lot of people struggle with learning just because they are really busy, or they might have to do things for longer periods of time than most other people. There's a lot of people whose morning commutes to and from work are an hour or longer, so that of course takes a lot of time out of their day. But what if you could utilize that time to learn? You can utilize those times where you're just doing kind of monotonous things like driving or getting through a workout to continue learning. There are 2 main ways that you could go about doing this. Podcasts or audiobooks are both excellent ways to learn new things while doing tasks that you otherwise would just be listening to music. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not recommending that you do this all the time, especially when you might need that really energetic music to get you ready for the day or get you going in the gym. But take advantage of that time that you would not otherwise have to learn those new things by listening to people who know what they're talking about. A pretty common obstacle that a lot of people face when they are trying to do continued learning is overcoming procrastination. It tends to be a pretty common thing where when you don't want to do something, you find other things to take up that time. And this goes for myself as well. You'd be surprised at the number of times that I've needed to study for some sort of test, and I've instead gone about cleaning my apartment because that's what I needed to do. When in reality, I just didn't want to go through the discomfort of having to study for that test. One of the best ways to overcome procrastination is to be trying to learn something that you are actually interested in. Is it really going to be worth your time to try and learn something that you're not interested in, that as soon as you finish learning it and you get your certification or whatever, it's going to go right out of your head? No. So take the time to find something that you're actually interested in, and that way it's going to hold your attention, and it's going to be harder for you to procrastinate because you're going to want to actually learn it. But what about the cases of when there's something that you're not as interested in that's attached to something that you're actually interested in? I advise taking advantage of something called the 5-minute rule. The 5-minute rule is where you simply tell yourself you are going to sit down and you're going to work on this task for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter how much you get done, you just need to work on it. Very commonly, what people will find is once they've started working on that task for 5 minutes, they'll actually keep working on it because they've already gotten the ball rolling. What's important is building that momentum, just like how I mentioned with the Pomodoro technique earlier. By building that momentum, you're going to be able to overcome the procrastination and work on the thing that you didn't necessarily want to work on in the first place. One of the best ways that you can effectively manage your time is by building in support and accountability from people around you. By finding someone else who is also interested in what you are trying to learn, or someone who is going to push you to always be a better person, you're setting up accountability. And by having that accountability, you're setting yourself up for not wanting to disappoint that other person. And that's going to keep you true to what you're doing. For instance, when I was in college, I would join study groups because I knew that that was something that we were going to do regularly 2 times a week. And if I didn't show up, it didn't hurt any of the other members of the group. It only hurt me. But I knew that it was that sense of accountability, and I had people who were going to call me out on it if I didn't show up. So by building people into your system and your network that support you and the goals that you're trying to go towards and will hold you accountable, you'd be surprised at how effectively this will get you to use your time. All right, guys, we have reached the end of the video, but let me just quickly summarize these time management techniques that I talked to you about. First off, you're gonna wanna have an understanding of your schedule. And once you have obtained that understanding, you then wanna set clear learning goals and objectives. Once you've established your personal learning goals, you then need to go about prioritizing your tasks. And once you've prioritized your tasks, you can use techniques such as time blocking, the Pomodoro technique, or the 5-minute rule to help you manage your actual time spent working on those tasks. Some additional tips that a lot of people don't tend to think about is that they can utilize other areas of time that they spend a lot of things like the gym or their local commute to learn new things using audiobooks or podcasts. Additionally, procrastination tends to be one of the biggest time sinks that a lot of people encounter. So you want to make sure that you are addressing your procrastination by doing things such as the 5-minute rule that I already mentioned, or incorporating the next tip, which is setting up some sort of support or accountability system. By having accountability and support, you risk disappointing other people, and that's gonna kind of force you to participate and actively engage in your learning. Now that we've got that covered, if you found the video to be interesting or informative or helpful in any way, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Like I said, it helps the channel to grow and to reach new people. If you have any of your own thoughts or ideas, or even some ideas for videos, be sure to leave a comment down below. I try to respond to every single one of them. If you're interested in more videos where I talk about continued learning, be sure to check out this video right here where I discuss my top 5 ways to get your time back for learning. If you're more interested in my most recent stuff, be sure to check out this video right here. But until the next time, this is the Mengineer, signing off.